Chapter 1. The perfectly crafted facade. Emily Thompson was the envy of her friends. A picture-perfect life adorned with a charming husband, a beautiful home, and a promising career. She had married Jack just 4 years earlier in a dazzling ceremony infused with laughter, love, and hopeful dreams. From the outside, they were the quintessential couple, attending social gatherings, hosting dinner parties, and sharing experiences that seemed to define their happiness. But what Emily carefully curated on social media was a well-crafted facade that concealed her inner turmoil. As she sat alone in her spacious kitchen one rainy afternoon, Emily stared out the window, watching the droplets race down the glass. The rhythmic sound of the rain mirrored the unsettling discord in her heart. She and Jack had grown distant over the years, their once ardent love waning in the monotony of daily routines. Jack, a dedicated architect, often worked long hours, leaving Emily feeling more like a mere roommate than a partner. Her life felt like a suffocating cocoon, one she had constructed from the threads of expectations and societal norms. She found herself yearning for something more, something that was undeniably missing from her life. The spark that had ignited her passion now flickered dimly, and she began to question everything. Her choices, her happiness, her love for Jack. Feeling dissatisfied, Emily started spending more time with Rachel, one of her closest friends. Their conversations, often filled with laughter and comfort, provided a temporary escape from her discontent. Rachel had always been a free spirit, unencumbered by the constraints of typical suburban life. She encouraged Emily to explore her desires, to yearn for more than what the world had laid before her. "You deserve happiness, Emily," Rachel often said, her wide eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Don't be afraid to chase your dreams." One evening, as they sat at a local bar, Emily shared her frustrations with Rachel. "I feel trapped, like I'm living someone else's life. It's like I'm going through the motions, and I don't even know if I'm doing it right anymore." Rachel frowned, stirring the ice in her drink thoughtfully. "You have to give yourself permission to feel what you feel. There's so much more out there. There's adventure, excitement. Don't be afraid to seek it, especially if it means breaking free." Encouraged by Rachel's words, Emily began to contemplate change, trying to awaken feelings she thought had long been buried beneath the weight of responsibility. It was during this tumultuous exploration that Emily met Ben, a charismatic and adventurous man who would unknowingly unravel her carefully built life. They crossed paths at a charity event, where she couldn't help but be drawn to his infectious laughter, easy charm, and the way he moved freely through the crowd. Ben exuded confidence and spontaneity, a stark contrast to the predictable life Emily had resigned herself to. Conversations flowed with remarkable ease, and before they knew it, they were sharing secrets, dreams, and aspirations that felt foreign yet thrilling. As the night continued, sparks ignited between them, a magnetic pull neither could deny. "Do you believe in love at first sight?" he asked, a playful glint in his eyes. Emily laughed, brushing aside the absurdity of the notion, but deep down, a part of her felt the thrill of attraction, raw and intoxicating. Hours later, she returned home to find Jack settled into his usual routine, nose buried in work papers, oblivious to the storm brewing within her. As she climbed into bed, guilt threatened to choke her, but she rationalized her feelings. A harmless flirtation, she thought. But the lines began to blur. Over days and weeks, Emily found herself falling deeper into an emotional entanglement with Ben. Their encounters evolved into discreet phone calls, shared laughter beneath starlit skies, and secret rendezvous that ignited a long-dormant passion within her. Her late-night conversations with Rachel shifted toward the gossip of a budding romance, even as Emily's heart raced, caught in a web of desire and deceit. "I can't believe you're living so boldly," Rachel said, a hint of envy in her voice. "You deserve every moment of happiness you can get. Just make sure you're careful. Don't get burnt." But with every moment shared with Ben, Emily felt the weight of her choices deepening. The thrill of adventure was exhilarating, but it also carved a chasm between her and Jack. Every secret she kept, every lie she told, sank deeper into her conscience, leaving her feeling more isolated in her betrayal. As autumn leaves fell and the nights grew longer, Emily's heart waged war between guilt and desire. Through day-to-day interactions with Jack, she wore a mask of normalcy, engaging in mundane conversations, attending dinner parties, and smiling in public. But behind closed doors, she was spiraling, lost in a battle between the life she constructed and the one she secretly craved. "Are you all right?" Jack asked one evening, a flicker of concern crossing his face as he noticed her distant gaze. "Just tired," she replied dismissively, forcing a smile, her heart heavy with the weight of her lies. Their perfect life, a promise of love, commitment and dreams, seemed to fracture, and all the while Emily could feel the storm brewing. The allure of Ben became a tempest within her, a whirlwind of chaos that threatened to tear apart the fragile fabric of her marriage. Days turned into weeks, and Emily found herself swept further into this illicit affair as treacherous secrets entwined their fates. But with every stolen moment she shared with Ben, the realization that her actions could shatter her life began to consume her. She sat perched on the edge of an emotional precipice, teetering toward heartbreak. The beauty of Emily's carefully crafted facade began to unravel, a thread pulled, revealing hidden shadows she could no longer escape. And as she danced on the cusp of chaos, one question echoed through the recesses of her mind. Was the pursuit of happiness worth the destruction it might bring? But even she couldn't predict how profoundly tragic the fallout would be. Chapter 2: The Fall. The frost of winter settled over the small suburban town, blanketing the landscape in a soft white haze. But beneath the seemingly tranquil surface, turmoil festered within Emily's heart. The holiday season approached, a time typically filled with warmth and joy, yet it now loomed over her like a storm cloud, dark and heavy with foreboding. As Thanksgiving neared, Jack moved through their home with a sense of purpose, orchestrating a picturesque celebration for family and friends. The smell of pumpkin pie filled the air, mingling with the spices of roasted turkey, reminders of traditions they had built together. Emily watched him bustling around, a pang of guilt biting at her conscience. Every smile he offered masked the secrets she held close to her chest. When her phone buzzed with a message from Ben, a rush of excitement coursed through her veins. "Can't wait to see you tonight," it read, the simple words igniting her spirit. But as she composed a reply, intending to keep the plans under wraps, doubt snaked its way into her thoughts. The world she was creating with Ben was intoxicating, yet the reality of her choices darkened the luster. After a long day of preparation, Emily made her way to the bathroom, staring at her reflection. The conflict within her was etched into her features, an internal war where love battled desire. She tried applying her makeup with steady hands, but the tremors betrayed the storm inside. With one thought pressing down on her, the guilt grew heavy in her chest. Was this betrayal truly worth it? Later that evening, they gathered around the dining table, festooned with candles and lavish decorations. The room was filled with chatter and laughter, the facade of happiness intact. Jack, beaming with pride, raised his glass, ready to toast. "To family, love, and a year filled with blessings," he declared, and the others echoed their agreement with cheerful cheers. Emily forced a smile, her heart aching as she raised her glass, but all she could think of was the life she felt slipping away. Beneath the surface, her mind raced back to Ben, their secret messages exchanged like hidden treasures, the thrill of being wanted fluttering in her gut. How far had she strayed? The rhythmic cadence of laughter-filled conversations faded into a dull buzz as she struggled to stay present. Jack, oblivious to the internal chaos, continued sharing stories. His voice a soothing balm, but it was lost on her. The affection he poured into his words felt both warm and suffocating. That night, as Emily lay in bed beside Jack, the silence was deafening. She turned toward him, watching him sleep peacefully, his face illuminated by a sliver of moonlight. Guilt washed over her in waves, crashing against the rocks of her conscience. How could she continue deceiving him while basking in the warmth of another man's affection? Slumber eluded her, her mind racing with thoughts until the quiet hours of the night compounded her anxiety. Emily slipped out of bed and crept silently toward the living room, unsure of what she was hoping to find. The ticking clock echoed in the stillness as reflections danced on the walls, and with a heavy heart, she picked up her phone. A pulse of forbidden excitement coursed through her as she texted Ben. "I can't stop thinking about you." The moments that followed felt torturous, a maze where hope battled uncertainty. But when the notification popped up saying he was online, joy surged through her heart. Ben replied, "I've been thinking about you too. Can't wait to see you later." Yet the reply was overshadowed by the gnawing guilt creeping back into her consciousness. The thrill of forbidden love felt intoxicating, but the reality of her marriage clawed at the edges of her heart. As for Ben, he took her deeper into his world, one defined by spontaneity and charisma. They arranged to meet, hidden away under the cover of darkness, where the weight of their secret lives was momentarily suspended. With each gathering, a passionate fire blazed between them, punctuated by secret kisses and whispered intentions. But the following morning, the veneer of joy cracked under the weight of Emily's conscience. The sun rose, casting shadows on her happiness, as she prepared for yet another family gathering. Beneath her practiced smile, she grappled with an inner realization. She was not just lying to Jack, she was lying to herself. As December approached, the situation escalated to an unbearable climax. The annual holiday party that Jack had thrown for his colleagues was on the horizon. Nervous anticipation buzzed in the air surrounding their preparations. Emily maintained her mask of enthusiasm, but failure loomed behind her eyes as she felt the guilt and dread fester deeper. "Are you ready for tonight?" Jack asked early that evening, excitement dancing in his voice. "Of course," she replied, her voice steady on the surface, but her insides churned. Jack smiled, unaware of the turmoil raging just beneath the surface. The party unfolded beautifully, laughter and conversations flowing as spirited discussions about architecture and design lit up the evening. Emily moved through the throng of guests, socially engaged but emotionally distant. She continued to plaster on her smile, feigning interest, but inside, her heart raced, knowing she would meet Ben after the gathering. As midnight approached and the guests began to leave, Emily felt an electric pull toward the front door. With each departing guest, the anticipation grew, but so did the heaviness in her heart. Jack had been busy thanking everyone, and amidst the chaos, she slipped away unnoticed. Outside, the night air was crisp, invigorating, and charged with possibilities. She slid into her car, her pulse quickening as she drove to their rendezvous point. When she arrived, Ben stood waiting, illuminated by the glow of streetlights. The look in his eyes made her weak in the knees, an intoxicating mix of desire and recklessness. Their embrace ignited a fire that stole Emily's breath away. Beneath the stars, they kissed fervently, all thoughts of reality fading into the background. But amid the thrill of the night, reality clawed at her, mingling with the ecstasy of the moment. "Let's not think about anything else," Ben whispered against her ear. But Emily couldn't escape the truth that followed her like a shadow. The lines between right and wrong blurred with each stolen kiss, and as their connection deepened, so did her conflict. However, the following morning would unravel everything as the weight of secrets became too much to bear. Chapter 3: The Unraveling. The morning light streaked through the curtains, illuminating a world that felt achingly normal to Emily, despite the chaotic storm churning deep within her soul. The exhilaration from the night before dimmed into a haze of dread as she turned to find Jack still asleep beside her. The weight of betrayal hung heavily in the air, almost palpable, suffocating her resolve with each passing second. She slipped out of bed quietly, careful not to wake him, her heart racing as she retreated to the kitchen. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, grounding her in the moment and reminding her of the life she had built with Jack. For a moment she paused, staring at the coffee maker, engulfed in the warmth of nostalgia mixed with the chilling fear of her choices. As she poured herself a cup, she felt the phone buzz in her pocket. A message from Ben. "Can we talk today? I need to see you." Her heart raced as the excitement battled with an overwhelming sense of foreboding. The echoes of Jack's steady breathing filled the silence as Emily paced the kitchen, consumed by her thoughts. She knew that whatever Ben wanted to discuss could further entangle her in a web she was struggling to escape. Yet, she couldn't deny the thrill of seeing him again. Jack's footsteps behind her interrupted her thoughts. As he entered the kitchen, he flashed her a bright smile, the kind that lit up a room. "Morning, sleepyhead. Ready for another day?" Emily plastered on a smile, masking her turmoil. "Of course. Just getting some coffee." She tried to sound cheerful, but her voice cracked, breaking the facade ever so slightly. Jack sensed her unease, his brow furrowing in concern. "You seem a bit off. Are you okay?" "Just a little tired, I guess," she replied, avoiding his gaze as a knot formed in her stomach. She poured his cup and handed it to him, diverting attention away from her whirlwind of emotions. "Hey, how about we go for a long walk later?" Jack suggested, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. "We could grab brunch afterward. Just the two of us." The warmth of his suggestion melted her heart and sealed her fate of staying in a tumultuous situation. She managed a nod, fighting against the rising tide of guilt. "Sure, that sounds great," she said, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. The day unfolded slowly, and as they left for their walk, Emily focused on every beautiful detail. The crisp air, the vibrant colors of autumn leaves, the way the sunlight streamed through the trees. But beneath the beauty lay a rift that was growing ever wider. The whispers of doubt and regret lingered, each step a reminder of the distance between her and Jack, and the pull of her heart toward Ben. As they strolled hand in hand, Jack spoke passionately about his upcoming architectural project, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Emily tried to engage, but every word felt like a sharpened blade in her heart, pressing deeper into her conscience. The admiration she felt for him contrasted sharply with the secret she carried, and she was afraid that the weight of it all would crush her. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows that mirrored her internal struggle, Emily met Ben at their usual secluded spot near a quiet park. As she approached, the warmth of his embrace enveloped her, but it brought no relief from the turmoil inside her. The kiss tasted like stolen fruit, sweet, exhilarating, but ultimately forbidden. "What's wrong?" Ben asked, pulling slightly away to gauge her expression. "I can't shake this feeling of guilt," she confessed, her voice heavy with the weight of her admission. "Jack is so good to me. I'm betraying him." Ben frowned, his tone turning persuasive. "Emily, we have something real together. You deserve to be happy. Don't let guilt define your choices." "But what about Jack?" she retorted, her heart pounding. "He doesn't deserve this." Ben stepped back, frustration creeping into his expression. "You've been unhappy for a long time. Don't let one person dictate your life. Follow your heart." With that, the mask slipped, and Emily stood before him, battles raging within her. "You don't understand. I love Jack, but I feel lost. I don't want to hurt him." Taking a deep breath, she added, "I just need time to think." The silence that fell between them felt heavy, carrying the weight of her conflicting emotions. Ben pulled her close, brushing his fingers against her cheek. "Just promise you won't let him keep you from finding your own happiness." That night, Emily tossed and turned in bed, each whisper from Jack a reminder of her betrayal. With dawn peeking through the curtains, she awoke with a burning need for clarity. Throwing on her clothes, she dashed out of the house before Jack awoke, racing to visit Rachel, a friend who had always been her anchor. In Rachel's cozy living room, surrounded by warmth and familiar comforts, Emily unleashed her turmoil. "I'm torn apart, Rachel. I don't know what to do. I love Jack, but this connection with Ben is intoxicating. I'm losing myself, and the guilt is suffocating." Rachel listened intently, sipping her coffee, her azure eyes filled with sympathy. "You have to decide what you truly want, Emily. But at the end of the day, if you choose to pursue this relationship with Ben, you need to be prepared for the fallout." Fear coursed through Emily's veins as she grappled with the hard truth. The weight of her choices loomed heavily over her. As Rachel shared her thoughts, Emily's mind raced, filled with visions of what could be and what might be lost. "Let's face facts," Rachel continued, her voice steady. If you choose Ben, you might lose Jack forever. And is that a risk you're willing to take? Her heart ached at the realization, but amid the chaos of her emotions, conversations with Ben played in her mind like a siren's call. His laughter, the way he'd made her feel alive again. But at what cost? Decision time loomed on the horizon and brought with it the echo of losses that might never heal. She took Rachel's words to heart, and the weight of it all settled into a tension-filled silence. As she returned home, the landscape seemed washed in a shroud of gray, a reflection of the inner turmoil consuming her. Jack was in the kitchen, pouring coffee and humming to himself, embodying a calm that contrasted sharply with the storm inside her. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, looking up with a soft smile. Emily's heart twisted. "Yeah, I just needed some air." Jack looked relieved. "I missed you. Want to do something together today?" Tears threatened to spill from her eyes as her heart hesitated. Of course. And with the weight of decisions pressing down upon her, she faced the ultimate choice, that this cloying guilt could either lead her to a path of reckoning or an unrelenting cycle of deception. Little did she know that the truth was about to smash through her carefully constructed walls, rocketing toward them all like an approaching storm. Chapter 4: The Storm. The days rolled onward like a river, seemingly unchanging in their flow, yet beneath the placid surface, turbulent currents churned. Emily's life began to feel like a tightrope walk, every step precarious and fraught with danger. Jack remained blissfully oblivious, pouring his love into every shared moment, a morning coffee, a spontaneous dinner, a tender kiss goodnight. Each day felt like a blessing and a curse, a reminder of the life they built together, juxtaposed against the thrill of her clandestine affair with Ben. Despite her internal struggles, Emily continued to meet Ben, each rendezvous filled with laughter and intensity, but tainted by the gnawing edge of guilt. Ben would often wander into topics that filled her with an exhilarating sense of freedom, speaking about travel, ambition, and dreams yet to be realized. Underneath the starry veil of their secret encounters, Emily felt invigorated. In his eyes, she was more than a wife or mother. She was a woman redefining her life. Yet with each stolen moment, the weight of her deception grew heavier. Emily knew she had to confront her reality, but each time she gathered the courage to face Jack with the truth, the image of his loving smile would halt her. But the truth, as they say, has a way of unraveling itself, pulling tight the threads of deception until they snap. One fateful evening, Jack had planned a surprise date night. He whisked her away to their favorite restaurant, a charming little place with fairy lights glimmering against the dusky sky. He held her hand tightly, laughter dancing between them as they reminisced about their first date. The ambience was romantic, filled with the soft notes of a live band playing in the corner, yet Emily felt the cheerful atmosphere suffocating. "Hey, I want to discuss something important," Jack said, setting his glass down, his expression shifting to seriousness. Her heart raced, anxiety prickling at the edges of her mind. Did he know? "What's on your mind?" "I've been thinking a lot about us," he began, his gaze penetrating. "And I want to take our life to the next level. I think we should consider starting a family." The offer hung in the air like a thundercloud, and Emily's heart plummeted. She felt frozen, caught between the longing to build a future with Jack and the reality of her betrayal with Ben. Jack continued, oblivious to her internal chaos. "I love you, Em. I want us to have kids and grow old together." She forced a smile, her stomach twisting like a roller coaster. "I love you too, Jack. I think that sounds wonderful." The words felt like shards of glass lodged in her throat because her mind raced ahead. How could she possibly entertain the idea of starting a family when she was entangled in an affair? That night, as they returned home, room full of laughter and merriment, Emily fought against the nausea rising in her chest. The delicate fabric of their life together felt unravaged. In a particularly vulnerable moment, she plopped down on the couch, burying her face in her hands. The revelation of Jack's proposal weighed down on her like a leaden cloak, pressing against her heart. She refused to let her emotions spill. She had to find a way out of this labyrinth of lies. Just then, she received a message from Ben, breaking the silence of the night. "Can we meet? I can't stop thinking about you." As the tension in her heart tightened, she chose to ignore it for the moment, redirecting her focus towards Jack. "You okay?" he asked, concerned. "Yeah, just a bit tired," she lied, forcing herself to look at him with what she hoped was convincing steadiness. "Brain's a little foggy." That first thread of doubt slithered in, and she realized how deeply her secret life was entwined with their reality. As Jack lovingly tucked a stray hair behind her ear, she felt the distant echo of Ben's words drown out the warmth of Jack's gesture. The next day was an emotional whirlwind, a maelstrom of conflicting feelings. With each moment, she stood on the precipice of truth yet remained shackled by fear. But with every message from Ben, each exchange drew her deeper toward a cliff she couldn't avoid. Finally, she ended up at the park where they shared stolen kisses, sprinting toward an impromptu meeting with Ben, the thrill of yearning pushing her forward. As she spotted him leaning against a tree, a rush of excitement welled inside her. "Emily!" he breathed, taking her in with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "I can't do this anymore," she blurted out, the words tumbling from her lips before she could catch them. "Jack wants to start a family. I can't keep living this lie." Ben's expression faltered. "You're not happy though. You don't have to go through with that if you don't want to. You have this choice to define your life." Her resolve began to waver as she caught the fire in his eyes. "But I love Jack," she insisted, a sinking feeling enveloping her. "He doesn't know the real you," Ben argued, stepping closer. "You have a chance to embrace who you are, to choose happiness over obligation." A part of Emily wanted to lean into that thrilling notion, to throw caution to the wind and follow her heart without fear. But as she stood there, battling the storm before her, she thought of Jack's smile, his hopes for the future, the foundation they'd built. Was it fair to tear it all down? "Emily, please," Ben implored, desperation ringing in his voice. "I can give you what you want, what you truly desire." The weight of his words blurred the line between reality and fantasy, and she felt herself teetering on the edge of a precipice. "And what if I hurt him?" she whispered, fear choking her. "Be honest," he answered softly, his voice almost melodic. "You owe yourself that much." In that moment of reckoning, a storm brewed within her, a tempest of emotions ready to strip away the layers of her carefully curated life. The world around her faded into a blur as she faced the truth. Suddenly, a shrill ringtone shattered the tension, startling both of them. Emily fumbled for her phone, panic surging within her when she realized it was Jack. She glanced at Ben, her heart racing. "I have to take this." "Emily, wait." "Jack," she answered, her heart pounding. "Where are you?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. "I was just thinking about you." As she stood beneath the encompassing branches of the tree, caught between what she wanted and what she should do, Emily knew the storm was about to break. The words caught in her throat, yet the truth was finally demanding to be set free. All of her fears and worries coiled tightly around her, waiting to unravel with the threads of a decision that could change everything. And when she looked at Ben, she saw a glimmer of freedom, an escape from the clutches of what was expected. But she also saw the love she held for Jack, the life they'd shared together. Silence enveloped her like a cloak, holding her hostage between joy and despair. Every choice became monumental, and as Jack's voice echoed in her ear, she realized she could not avoid the tempest any longer. "Emily." Jack's voice was now urgent. "Please tell me where you are." Chapter 5. The Reckoning. The tension in the air thickened, suffocating Emily as she grappled with the weight of Jack's voice in her ear and the pressing presence of Ben at her side. Every fiber of her being was caught in a tumultuous clash of emotions, like a ship caught in the fiercest storm. The horizon was bleak, and she knew she could no longer remain adrift. I'm just out taking a walk," she stammered, the words feeling like lies wrapped in truth. Her heart raced as she tried to grasp the fleeting moments before the wave would break, and she would be submerged in whatever came next. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, Jack paused, a hint of hesitation lacing his words. "I just wanted to hear your voice." I miss you. A sinking feeling enveloped her, pulling her deeper into the ocean of guilt and confusion. I miss you too, she replied, her voice cracking under the weight of her inner struggle. From beside her, Ben's presence felt like an anchor, yet it also threatened to drag her under. She shot him a glance, and saw the mix of concern and impatience on his face. He stepped slightly closer, urging her with his eyes to make a choice. Just stay where you are, okay? I'll come find you. Jack's words echoed with a sense of urgency that twisted in her chest like a knife. She knew that hearing Jack's vulnerability would make it even harder to confront her own truth. As she hung up, Emily felt as though the world had shifted beneath her feet. The choice before her now felt like standing on a precipice, with the abyss yawning ever wider. She faced Ben, his expression a mirror of encouragement and frustration. Emily, you need to decide. His voice was low, gentle yet firm, a call to arms against the storm that had been brewing inside her for too long. I can't hurt him, she replied, tears glistening at the edge of her eyes, her resolve wavering. He's been nothing but good to me. But what about you? Ben countered, his eyes piercing through her fear. What do you deserve? You can't sacrifice your happiness for someone else's expectations. This isn't fair to either of you. The truth in his words sliced through her heart, igniting a fight within her that quivered around the edges of despair. I don't know what I want, she gasped, her voice filled with desperation. Ben reached for her hand, grounding her amidst the chaos. Then let's find out together. Just be honest. You owe it to yourself. For a fleeting moment, she considered what it would mean to embrace that honesty, what it would feel like to step fully into her own skin. Could she set free the storm of emotions that had kept her trapped for too long? With courage swelling within her, she took a deep breath. I need time. Ben's gaze softened, but urgency flickered in his eyes. Time is a luxury you may not have. If Jack comes to find you and you're not there, he's going to be worried, more than he already is. You need to decide what you want for yourself. As Jack's footsteps echoed somewhere in the distance, Emily felt a mixture of dread and determination swell inside. The weight of Jack's love wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but the allure of something new and exhilarating crawled beneath that familiarity, something that made her feel alive. I don't want him to hurt, she admitted, her voice shaking. He's been there for me. Ben stepped closer, the intensity of his gaze igniting something within her. What if you talked to him? What if you were honest? You might find clarity in that. In that moment, something shifted within Emily, and she realized she didn't want to hide anymore. Life was too fleeting, and the fear of pain shouldn't justify living a lie. Facing her fears was still another layer of the storm, but she knew it was one she had to confront. I need to go, she finally whispered, feeling stubborn resolve replace her uncertainty. I can't run from this anymore. Emily. I know, she interjected, though her heart felt heavy. I need to face my reality, whatever that looks like. With that, she turned and began to walk away, not looking back at Ben, determined to face what lay ahead, not just for herself but for Jack too. As she exited the park, the air felt electric and foreboding, the storm clouds gathering overhead like a thunderous omen. Thoughts raced in her mind, drowning out all but the echo of Jack's voice. She couldn't hide. She needed to communicate her truth. When she finally reached home, the familiar sights felt both comforting and suffocating. The ordinary world she had built was suddenly laden with the intensity of her inner turmoil. Jack was pacing the living room, his expression shifting from concern to relieved as he caught sight of her. Emily, you had me worried sick. You didn't answer your phone. She felt the weight of his concern wash over her, mingling with the dread of what she had to say. I know. Sorry. I was just thinking. He took a step toward her, his eyes searching hers as he took in her appearance. Are you okay? The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the intensity of the moment wrap around her like a veil. No, Jack, I'm not okay, she admitted, feeling the dam burst. I've been hiding something from you. What do you mean? He asked, concern furrowing his brow, taking another cautious step forward. I've been seeing someone else, she said, her voice trembling as each word forced its way out. And I'm so confused about what to do. Silence engulfed the room, a thick blanket of shock hanging in the air. Jack's mouth opened slightly, the color draining from his face as the weight of her confession crashed over him. What do you mean? He repeated, a hint of disbelief lacing his voice. What are you saying? I didn't want to hurt you, but it's true, she continued, her heart pounding uncontrollably as tears began to cascade down her cheeks. I felt lost, like I was drifting, and I found myself getting closer to someone else. Jack looked as if he had been punched in the gut, staggering slightly as though struggling to breathe. Who is it? Ben, she whispered, each syllable thick with emotion. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did, and I'm so sorry. For a moment, time felt suspended, as Jack's expression twisted in shock and hurt, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. You were with him. This whole time. His voice was raw, each word punctuated by disbelief. Yes, but I never stopped loving you. She halted, the truth pouring from her heart. I didn't know how to be honest with myself or you. Emily. His voice was a mix of hurt and anger, a charged survival instinct surging through him. Do you care about me at all? Outside, thunder rumbled ominously, and a storm finally surged in Newfoundland, mirroring the tempest in Emily's heart. She stood in that moment, shrouded in uncertainty, facing the shadows of her choices and the tides of change, wondering if love was truly enough to bridge the chasms that had so imperfectly formed. Chapter 6. The Aftermath. The storm unleashed its fury in the form of heavy rain, a relentless downpour that mirrored the turmoil roiling inside Emily. She stood in the living room, feeling as though the walls were closing in, every second stretching into an eternity as she watched Jack wrestle with the reality of her confession. It felt surreal, like a dream she couldn't awaken from. Emily, I can't believe you would do this, Jack finally said, his voice thick with pain and betrayal. He turned away, running a hand through his hair, a gesture she knew all too well. It was the same way he reacted when troubled. The silence hung heavy, a palpable tension suffocating any hope of resolution. Emily felt herself shatter a little more inside. Each second she remained there felt like another layer of ice breaking beneath her feet. I never wanted to hurt you, she said quietly, her heart racing as she struggled against despair. You have to believe me. It was never about wanting to leave you. I just got lost in my own confusion and... Confusion? Jack interrupted, spinning around to face her, hurt remnants dancing in his eyes. You're telling me you've been seeing another man for weeks, and it's just confusion? You've shattered my trust. The agony in his voice twisted the knife deeper. Emily felt the world tilt beneath her, memories flooding back, the laughter, the warmth of their shared life. Everything now seemed tainted by the reality of her choice. I know it doesn't make sense, she replied, her voice barely a whisper, and I can't explain why I let it happen. I started feeling like I was drowning in expectations. But it hasn't changed how I feel about you. Jack crossed his arms, an instinctual defense against the emotional chaos swirling around them. How can you say that? You let yourself fall into another man's arms. That's more than confusion. That's a choice. I know, she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. And I'm not asking you to forgive me right now. All I can do is be honest and hope that we can find a way through this. Somehow. Do you want to be with him? Jack's voice was almost a whisper, the sharpness of his question cutting through her like shards of glass. I don't know, she admitted, the truth slipping from her lips like the rain outside pouring down in relentless sheets. I thought that maybe it could be something, but then I talked to you and my heart is still here. With you. You're my home, Jack. Jack inhaled sharply, shutting his eyes as if to block out the painful truth. I need time, he finally murmured, his voice barely audible above the sound of the rain drumming against the roof. I need to process all of this. Right now I can't breathe. Okay, Emily replied, her heart aching as she realized the chasm that had formed between them. I understand. He took a step back, the space growing even larger as the bittersweet distance sank deep into their reality. I just can't believe this is happening, he murmured, shaking his head sadly. Neither can I, she admitted, her own heart heavy with regret. I never wanted to disrupt our lives like this. As Jack walked away, a searing pain coursed through her, a loss already present in the space they used to share. She felt the tidal wave of emotions crash over her again, each wave dragging her further into despair. Hours passed like days, and as darkness fell, the rain finally began to diminish, but inside the storm still raged. Emily retreated to their bedroom, feeling hollow as she stared at the familiar surroundings, each detail now feeling foreign and uncomfortable. The scent of his cologne still lingered in the air, a bittersweet reminder of moments filled with joy, laughter, and love. She sat on the edge of the bed, her hands trembling as she pulled out her phone. With a heavy heart, she couldn't ignore the text she had received earlier from Ben. He had been persistent, waiting to hear back from her, and now, as desperation engulfed her, she felt the urge to reach out. Ben, can we talk? She typed, her fingers shaking over the screen before hitting send. The moments dragged on, unease coiling tightly around her heart. As she waited, her mind careened through memories of stolen kisses and whispered dreams, the thrill of being desired overshadowing her clear judgment. But in the aftermath of her heartbreak, those memories felt tainted, and she realized that she was grasping at straws. Finally, the phone buzzed to life, jolting her from the depths of her spiraling thoughts. Of course, I'm here for you. Where can we meet? Feeling torn, Emily grappled with uncertainty. Was it wise to confide in Ben so soon after what had just transpired? She took a deep breath, felt a thread of bravery course through her. Just a moment, she texted back. I need to find a place with some privacy. Okay. I'll wait for your answer. Suddenly overwhelmed by the need for clarity, she decided to go to the coffee shop down the street, a place where they used to sit and share their lives and dreams before everything spiraled out of control. Perhaps she needed Ben's perspective to help her piece of her life back together, even if that meant inevitably complicating things even further. Meet me at the corner cafe, she finally responded. In 30 minutes. The decision settled heavy in her gut, a mix of anticipation and dread pooling in her stomach. But she knew that she had to find a way to make sense of her life, no matter how jagged the pieces might be. As she walked to the cafe, each step felt like a weight lifting and then crashing down again. This rendezvous was fraught with complication and consequence, yet she felt a sense of urgency to confront what was steadily unraveling inside her. When she arrived, the warm glow of the cafe felt welcoming yet intimidating. She spotted Ben sitting at a small table near the back, his expression a mixture of concern and eagerness. He waved her over, and as she approached, she saw a flicker of hope in his eyes, which only deepened her sense of conflict. Thanks for coming, he said, gesturing for her to sit. I was worried about you. I needed to talk, she replied, her voice shaking slightly as she settled into the chair. About Jack, he asked gently, his gaze intense and searching. Yes. She paused, gathering her thoughts, feeling the weight of the moment pressing heavily against her heart. I told him the truth about us. About everything. And how did he react? Ben leaned closer, his interest piqued. Dusk began to blanket the world outside, and as the cool evening air brushed against her skin, Emily knew she had to face both options head-on. The storm, though tumultuous, revealed possibilities, each path carrying with it the weight of choice and consequence. Chapter 7. The Crossroads. The following days blurred into a cacophony of thoughts and emotions, each week passing with a disorienting speed. Emily felt like a puppet in her own life, strings pulled in every direction by the complexities of love, trust, and betrayal. Jack and Ben occupied her mind like two opposing forces, each demanding her attention and devotion in their own way, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths. After returning from the cafe, Emily spent more time alone, often walking the streets of the city, each corner a haunt of memories. The rain had ceased, but an uneasy fog lingered, matching the murky waters within her mind. She replayed every detail of her conversation with Jack, recalling the exact expression on his face when she admitted to seeing Ben. Could they rebuild from this? Every time her phone chimed with a message, her heart raced, hopeful yet fearful. She had reached out to Jack after their initial confrontation, trying to mend the break between them, but he had been distant, giving her space to breathe. Yet, she couldn't escape the gravity of the choice awaiting her. It was the weekend when she finally made the call to meet Jack again. The dread weighed heavily in her chest, but she knew it was time to face the unresolved pieces of their relationship. They chose a quiet park, a place that once held joyful conversations and quiet moments of connection. As she walked toward their spot, she scanned the scenery, searching for any sense of comfort within the chaos. The trees around her stood tall and steady, as if they rooted themselves in the present, unaware of the shifting sands beneath their roots. Jack was already there, leaning against a bench, his expression unreadable as she approached. The sight of him caused an ache to ripple through her, a reminder of all that was once so genuine between them. "Hey," she said softly, her voice barely rising above the gentle whispers of the wind. "Hey," he replied, his eyes flickering with that all-too-familiar mixture of warmth and guardedness. "Thanks for meeting with me," she said, standing awkwardly before him. The tension between them felt thick and charged. "Of course. I didn't want to leave things the way they were." He took a deep breath, visibly attempting to steady himself. "I've been thinking about what you said, and I want to understand." Emily nodded, feeling the weight of his words press down on her. "I've been thinking a lot too," she began, nervous energy fluttering in her stomach. "About us and where we go from here." Jack's gaze darkened slightly, the hurt evident in his eyes. "I'm still reeling, Emily. You need to know that." "I know," she replied, feeling her throat tighten. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you." He looked up, piercing her with his gaze. "I need you to be honest with me. Do you love him?" Taking a moment to gather her thoughts, Emily felt the tangled wires of her heart shift again. "I care about Ben, but that's complicated. I never intended for that to happen. I've spent so much time trying to figure out my feelings, and I want you to know that my heart is still with you." "Is it?" Jack challenged, his expression a mix of pain and determination. "Because it felt like I lost you the moment you chose to be with him. It's hard to trust that you want to return to what we had." She reached forward, desperate for connection. "I want to try. I realize now that I was running away, trying to escape the pressure of expectations and fears that I didn't share with you." Jack's silence was heavy, and for a moment she feared she had lost him entirely. "This isn't easy for me," he finally admitted, rubbing the back of his neck, confusion and pain battling behind his eyes. "I thought we had something solid, but now I'm left questioning everything." "We did have something solid," she pleaded, urgency encircling her every word. "Can we find it again? I want to mend what's broken because I love you, Jack. More than anything else." He held her gaze, the shadows of doubt flickering in his eyes. "Love isn't always enough to erase betrayal," he replied quietly, his voice losing some of its strength. "You have to understand how much you've hurt me. You not only went behind my back, but in doing so, you changed how I see us, how I see you." The confession lingered between them, sending waves of fear washing over Emily. "I know, and I'm not asking for an easy answer. I'm asking for a chance to show you that I'm still committed to us." Jack seemed to struggle with his thoughts, the tension hanging like a suffocating fog. "What if we can't go back to what we had?" he asked, his voice wavering. "What if we've both changed too much?" "Then let's build something new," Emily offered, her heart pounding with desperation. "I'm ready to put in the work if you are. Let's take it step by step together." He hesitated, a battle brewing behind his eyes, the ache of uncertainty overwhelming him. It's going to take time, Em. I can't just forget this overnight. And if I can't forgive, I don't know if we can move forward. Give me that time then, she urged, a mix of hope and dread coiling in her stomach. Let me show you that I want to be here, with you. Jack finally nodded, though his expression was still shadowed with uncertainty. I'll try, he said slowly, the words tumbling into the heavy air between them. But it won't be easy. I know, she replied, relief mingling with the weight of their reality. But I'm willing to fight for us. Just as a hint of warmth flickered in Jack's eyes, the moment was interrupted by the sudden blaring of her phone, vibrating insistently in her pocket. She pulled it out to see Ben's name lighting up the screen, a reminder of the world beyond this fragile moment. Sorry, she muttered apologetically, glancing at Jack before answering. I need to take this. Hey! Ben's voice chimed through as she stepped a few feet away, the tension of the moment still bonding her and Jack. I've been thinking about you. Yeah, I'm okay, she said, trying to mask the rushing emotions coursing through her. I'm just with Jack. Ben's silence was instantaneous, a heavy pause as he processed the information. Oh, can we talk later? She asked, searching for the right words, a mix of regret and anticipation swirling within her. I'm trying to work things out with him. Of course, Ben replied, his tone laced with resignation. I just hope you know what you're doing. I do, she promised, though as she said it, doubt lingered in her mind. Would she really be able to balance her feelings for both men? When she returned to Jack, he was pensive, eyes fixed on the ground as if contemplating what was left unsaid. What did he say? He asked, looking up at her with a tense expression. It's complicated, Emily replied, internal turmoil squeezing at her heart. He wants to respect what we had, what we're trying to build. He's willing to wait for me to figure it out. Jack nodded, a flicker of something close to relief crossing his features. I don't know how this is all going to play out, Em. But I guess we have to take it day by day. Yes, she replied with a faint smile, a mix of hope gathering in their fragile space. One step at a time. Together they would face this uphill battle, the storm still rumbling in the background. And as long as they were honest, maybe love could strip away the layers of pain and rebuild what had been lost. Chapter 8: Foundations. The days that followed felt like an intricate dance, each moment spent with Jack carrying an air of caution. They were stuck in a liminal space between what had been and what could be, each tentative step a reminder of the fragility of their newfound agreement. Emily was surprised by the comfort she found in Jack's presence, but underlying that comfort lay tension, an undercurrent of unresolved feelings and simmering pain that lurked like a shadow at the edge of their conversations. They talked, often navigating the difficult terrain of rebuilding trust, honesty becoming their unspoken pact. Yet, with every laugh they shared, the ghost of betrayal lingered in the background, whispering doubts that would not easily be silenced. One evening, as they sat on the couch wrapped in each other's arms, she felt the solid warmth of Jack's body. For the first time since their confrontation, she closed her eyes and allowed herself to relax. Do you think we can really make this work? She asked, breaking the silence that enveloped them like a weight. Jack turned to her, his brow furrowed slightly. I want to believe it, Emily. But we're dealing with a lot of hurt, and I can't pretend it will be easy. We have to keep talking about it, every day if we need to. We will, she promised, her heart aching with both hope and trepidation. I'm committed to being honest, and I don't want to lose you again. His expression softened, and he brushed a strand of hair away from her face. I want you to know that my desire to fix this isn't just about holding on to the past. I want you to be happy, even if it means letting you go eventually. The sincerity in his gaze took her breath away. Jack, I don't want that. I want to build a future with you. But I need to confront this part of my life with Ben too. Have you talked to him? Jack asked, a hint of tension creeping back into his voice. I haven't, Emily admitted, guilt pooling in her stomach. Not in a few days. I just couldn't bring myself to. I don't know what to say. Maybe you should, Jack said softly, a trace of concern in his eyes. If I'm really going to trust you, I need to know that you're being fair to yourself and to him. Taking in his words, Emily nodded, understanding that the pathway to clarity would require courage. You're right. I owe it to both of us to face this. As the week progressed, she gathered her thoughts to reach out to Ben. Their last conversation echoed in her mind, and the weight of unspoken words hung heavily in the air. The decision to meet was fraught with uncertainty, but she knew it was necessary. When they sat down at the cafe once more, the atmosphere was charged, tension crackling like static electricity. Ben looked up as she slid into the seat across from him. His expression a mixture of anxiety and something deeper, perhaps hope. "Hey, I wasn't sure if you'd come," he said, shifting in his chair. "I needed to," Emily replied, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." "About us?" Ben asked, the softness of his tone revealing the vulnerability he held. "Yes, and about Jack." She paused, weighing her words carefully. "I've realized that I need to focus on my feelings for him. I've made a commitment to him, and it's something I want to try to repair." Ben's eyes darkened, the disappointment flashing momentarily. "So that's it then. You've made your choice." "No," she countered, searching for the right words. "I'm not choosing anyone right now. I'm just trying to navigate my feelings. I owe it to myself to understand what this means, and I can't do that while lingering between both worlds." "I get it," he said, his voice tinged with sadness. "It's just hard to hear. I thought we had something special." "We did," Emily admitted, her heart aching for the moments they shared. "You opened my eyes to what it feels like to be desired and wanted. But after what I've done, I want Jack to know I am truly here for him." "I respect your honesty," Ben replied, though the hurt was evident in his eyes. "But, Emily, I care about you more than you realize. And I'll be here if you need me. Just know it won't be easy for me to wait." "I know," she said softly, remorse crashing over her like a wave. "But I need to explore this with Jack, and focus on my healing. I hope you can understand." As they parted ways, Emily felt a sense of peace settling within her, an acceptance of the difficult journey ahead. She still cherished what she had experienced with Ben, but she had to be true to herself. Later that evening, when she returned home, she found Jack waiting for her. As they shared their days, she felt a sense of warmth. And deep in her heart, she believed they could still heal, brick by brick, weaving their lives back together. Chapter 9: Rebuilding Trust. The days turned into weeks, and Emily found herself immersed in the dual challenges of rebuilding her relationship with Jack while still coming to terms with her lingering feelings for Ben. Each interaction with Jack was marked by an earnest attempt to fortify their connection, yet the ghosts of betrayal still haunted them, reminding them of what had transpired. One rainy evening, Emily and Jack sat on the couch, sharing a comfortable silence that had developed over the past few weeks. The hum of a warm tea kettle whistled in the kitchen, but the air between them felt heavier than usual. She sensed Jack was deep in thought. His brow furrowed as he stared out the window at the drizzling rain. "What are you thinking about?" she asked gently, her heart swimming with concern. He turned to her, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. "Just the future, I guess. What's going to happen between us?" His honesty was raw, and it made her heart ache for them both. "I want to trust you again, but it's hard." Emily reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers, seeking connection and comfort. "I know it's difficult, and I don't want to rush you into anything. I want you to take all the time you need. Just know that I'm here, and I'm committed to us." "Are you?" Jack asked, his gaze steady yet searching. "What if things don't get back to normal? What if we fall apart in the process?" Her heart raced at the thought, and she squeezed his hand tighter. "I believe we can find our way back. I want to put in the work, and I need you to be honest about your feelings too." Jack took a deep breath, releasing a long-held sigh. "It's just overwhelming. I care about you so much, and part of me wants to pretend everything is fine and forget this ever happened. But I can't. I have to address my feelings as we move forward. That's fair, she acknowledged, feeling the weight of his struggles mirroring her own. It's going to take time, and there will be days when we stumble. But we can't lose sight of who we are together, even amidst the turmoil. A small smile broke through Jack's troubled expression. You always know what to say. You have this way of grounding me. He chuckled. Maybe I just have a knack for knowing when to say the right thing, or when to just listen. The conversation shifted in a more playful direction, bringing lightness back into their space. Laughter and chatter filled the room, providing a comforting balm against the past. Yet, as they immersed themselves in a movie later that night, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that their honesty needed deeper exploration. Deciding to address it head-on, she turned to him. So, what do you think about boundaries? How do we establish them moving forward? Jack leaned back against the couch, contemplating her words. I guess it's about being transparent. I know you're still processing everything with Ben, and I don't want to push too hard. But I also want to be clear on where we stand before something happens that we're not ready for. Emily nodded thoughtfully, grateful for his openness. I completely agree. I think I need to establish what I want with Ben too before I dive headfirst into us. I don't want to hurt you again. He looked at her, his expression earnest. Then let's set a timeline for clarity. We both need to feel secure moving forward. As they crafted their unspoken pact, Emily felt a renewed sense of determination. It wasn't going to be easy, but the commitment to open communication felt like stepping stones in the right direction. In the following week, Emily finally decided it was time to meet Ben once more. Yes, she had spoken to him before, but this time it was different. She needed to communicate her newfound understanding of her feelings. When they met at the cafe again, the weight of nerves filled the air. Thanks for meeting me, she said as she took a seat opposite him, her palms slightly clammy. Ben's expression was serious, and he nodded. I'm glad you reached out. I've been thinking about what you said. About Jack, she asked, her heart racing in anticipation. About you, Ben admitted, leaning slightly forward. I care about you, Emily, more than you realize. And it hurts to see you with him, even though I understand your decision. The pain in his eyes struck a chord, sending her heart racing. I faced my feelings about us and realized I was holding on to something that might not be the best for either of us. It's not that I don't care about you, I do. But I need to figure things out with Jack first. Ben sighed, pushing his hair back in frustration. I get it. I want you to be happy. But I'm scared you'll discover that you want to be with him more than you ever wanted to be with me. That's the thing, she said softly. I'm trying to be honest about how complicated this all is. I wish I could say things were simple, but they're not. I need to explore this space with Jack to truly know where my heart lies. He hesitated, searching her eyes as if looking for a hang of hope. You're being more honest than I expected. That's good, I guess. I don't want to hurt you, she said earnestly. And I hope that whatever happens we can remain friends. You've meant a lot to me. Ben nodded, though the sadness in his eyes still lingered. I think I can accept that. But I won't lie. It's going to be tough watching you with him. Maybe it will just take time, she offered softly. I'm not trying to shut you out. I want us to continue being honest with one another, no matter what. As they parted ways once more, Emily felt a sense of closure settling over her heart. It was difficult to articulate, but she knew it was a step toward growth, not just for herself but for Ben too. When she returned home, she found Jack in the kitchen, tinkering with a new recipe, a warm smile lighting his face as he caught sight of her. How did it go? It went well, she said, walking over to him, feeling the warmth of his presence wrap around her. I think we're moving toward a better understanding of where we each stand. He nodded, a hint of relief washing over his features. I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like you're doing what you need to do for yourself. Emily stepped closer, her heart swelling with gratitude. Thank you for being patient with me, Jack. I know this hasn't been easy. Neither of us is perfect, but I believe we can find our way, he said, placing his hands on her shoulders, an anchor amidst the unpredictability. We just have to keep talking, keep being honest with each other. For the first time in weeks, they both felt the weight of their past begin to lighten. There was a long road ahead, but with each conversation, each shared moment of vulnerability, they were gradually rebuilding what had once been so beautifully simple. And as they shared a quiet dinner together, their laughter mingling with the delicious aromas of the food, Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. They could emerge from the rubble stronger, if they took it one day at a time. Chapter 10: New Beginnings. The days that followed continued to shape Emily and Jack's relationship. As their bond deepened through conversations that explored their fears, aspirations, and memories, a sense of optimism began to blossom. They found solace in routine, the safety of ordinary moments grounding them amidst the chaos of their emotions. One sunny Saturday, they decided to take a day trip to a quaint little town near the coast. The ocean breeze greeted them as they strolled along the boardwalk, hand in hand, soaking in the laughter of children and the sounds of seagulls circling above. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt light-hearted and free, as if the weight of her past had begun to lift. "Do you remember when we first came here together?" Jack asked, a nostalgic smile gracing his lips as they paused to watch the waves crash against the shore. "Yes, I do," Emily chuckled, her memories flooding back. "We ended up soaked after trying to take a picture by the water. And you insisted on going back to the car to change before we went anywhere else." He grinned, nudging her playfully. "Because I didn't want to walk around in wet clothes," she countered, laughter bubbling between them, their shared history creating a warmth that felt both familiar and refreshing. As they settled on a bench overlooking the water, the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the horizon in hues of orange and purple. They sat side by side, feeling the gentle sway of the breeze, both lost in their thoughts. "I need to tell you something," Jack said, breaking the comfortable silence. His tone serious and contemplative. Emily turned to him, her heart racing slightly. "What is it?" "I know this journey hasn't been easy," he began, "but I feel like we're moving in the right direction. I want to be with you, Emily. For real. No more looking back." Her breath caught in her throat, and she felt a rush of emotion. "Jack, you have no idea how much that means to me. I want that too. I don't want to be stuck in the past anymore. I think what we went through has shaped us for the better," he said, his gaze steady and sincere. "We learned to be honest, to communicate openly. It's going to take time, but I believe in us. I really do." A sense of warmth enveloped her. "I believe in us too. I want to be the best partner I can be for you. We're on this journey together." With the sun sinking into the ocean, they shared their first unguarded kiss, soft and lingering, a promise of a future filled with hope and understanding. In the following weeks, as autumn began to sprinkle its golden hues across the town, Emily and Jack continued to nurture their relationship, establishing boundaries while remaining connected. Emily had spoken to Ben, setting the groundwork for a genuine friendship, one that allowed both of them to heal. One evening, as the leaves danced in the breeze outside their window, she curled up next to Jack on the couch, a cozy blanket draped over them. Together they watched a movie, the laughter and occasional exchanged glances filled with warmth and understanding. "I feel so lucky to have you in my life," Jack murmured, wrapping his arm around her shoulder. Emily leaned into him, her heart swelling with contentment. "You've taught me so much about love, trust, and growth. I'm grateful every day for us." Time moved forward, and with each passing month, they slowly rebuilt the foundations of their love, more resilient than before. Together, they explored each other's hopes and dreams while crafting new memories that layered beautifully over the old ones. One crisp evening, while taking a late-night stroll through a park adorned with twinkling lights, Jack suddenly stopped. "I want to show you something," he said, a spark of excitement in his eyes. Curious, Emily followed him to a quiet clearing where an old oak tree stood, its branches adorned with strings of lights that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. "I've been working on this," he said, gesturing to the tree, which was now decorated with mementos from their relationship, a photo from their first date, ticket stubs from movies they had seen, and notes they had exchanged. "Jack, this is beautiful," Emily breathed, tears welling in her eyes as she traced her fingers over the items hanging from the branches. "I wanted us to have a place to celebrate our journey together," he explained. "It's a reminder of where we've been and where we're going." Overwhelmed with emotion, she turned to face him. "You're incredible, you know that? I can't believe how far we've come." Jack smiled, pulling her into a warm embrace. "We're just getting started." As they stood beneath the tree, wrapped in each other's arms, Emily realized how profoundly they had both transformed. They were no longer weighed down by past mistakes, but rather buoyed by the weight of their shared commitment to move forward with love and resilience. In that moment, surrounded by the light of their memories, they stood together, ready to embrace whatever the future would hold. They were no longer defined by their past. They were a testament to growth, both individually and as partners, embracing the beauty of love renewed. And as the stars twinkled above them, Emily knew this was only the beginning, a new chapter of their story written in hope, healing, and unwavering trust.